the Hebrew Israelite Church.
Jesus belongs to Africa as much as he does to Europe and Asia. And Jesus was not a white man like me, nor was he as black as some of you. We don't know what the color of his skin, but it must have been a dark color like the people of his day, because he was a man like them. Don't ever say it's a white man's religion or a black man's religion. It's a world religion. He belongs to the world. Jesus belongs to Africa, to Europe and Asia. Jesus belongs to the world.
Sir, I don't use Strong's Concordance. I teach Hebrew. See, I'm sorry. Strong's Exotic Concordance is not an inspired source. It's very dated, and I'm sorry, but anyone who's dependent upon that is going to stumble many, many times. It's just, I just highly recommend to you actually learning the language. It would help a lot.
God has answered your prayer. You said, why doesn't he send the Spirit of truth? He did. He sent Jesus. And when Jesus left, he sent the Holy Spirit, according to John 13 through 15. So what you're asking for, God has done in the person of Jesus. And guess what? How did the world receive Jesus, Sonetta? They didn't receive him. They crucified him. And if they could, a lot of them would crucify him again. Hear what you're saying? But he's done it. And that's the beauty of Jesus, is he's saying, you deserve judgment. I'll take the judgment. So the Son takes the judgment that we all deserve. That's the beautiful thing, Sonetta, because none of us can pay for our own sin.
Ephraim's Puerto Rican in Genesis 49, you know.
How many roads, too many signs, I can't read them. Wouldn't recognize the turn even if I seen it. Been driving all along, feel like I'm dreaming. Okay.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Street Apologists Live. I'm your host, Vocab Malone. I'm very glad to be here. And how about you? Today is February 22nd, 2025. And we're going to be talking about going to Newark, New Jersey, boots on the ground, street apologists, Christian apologists in the mix. And this happened just last Friday. And so here we are now. And I'm very excited about today's program on February 22nd, 2025. Listen, kind of a show that you guys maybe didn't know was coming up. So the way to get the ball rolling so other people can see it when they come in is to hit that thumbs up. That'll really help. Comment in the live chat as well. That'll really help. And if you could also make sure that you're subscribing, that will really help. So welcoming the first guest to today's show, I got all the way from Jersey, I got Brendan. Welcome to Street Apologists Live. Brendan, how you doing? You get the applause button. All right. What's going on, man?
What's going on? God is good. Nothing, man. Just hanging out, man. Last weekend was amazing, so just glad we can hang out over here and talk about it.
Yeah, so you and I first met a couple years ago in Phoenix, Arizona at Doctrine for the Black.
That's right. That's right. Amazing conference. I hope you can do it again.
So why did you come to Doctrine for the Block, and then how'd you get involved with this kind of ministry? You know, the street apologetics and that type of thing.
Well, for a while I was studying theology, and just basically any way I can find it, through churches, on my own. And at that time, it's quite a while ago, but at that time there was a lot of Muslims coming here from other parts of the world where they weren't really hearing the gospel. And I just kind of got interested in, what do they believe? So I read the Quran for myself, and I said, okay, this is different from the God that I learned about from the Bible. And so as I was learning more and more, shout out to David Wood, I learned so much about Islam from his channel. And I felt the Lord saying, hey, you know a lot now, so why don't you just use it? So
Nice.
that led me to a conference, and before I knew it, I was going to mosques sharing the gospel with Muslims, and I made some friends. One of them we know, Matthew Redondo. Shout out to him.
Shout out, Matt.
Through him, that's right, and
Hmm.
through him, I went on some mission trips. We went on some mission trips together. Um, and then I noticed he was going to teach at Doctrines of the Block. So I said, I
Ah.
have some friends in Arizona. Let me go visit Arizona and check out Doctrines of the Block and meet all you guys. And the gracious host that was there, you, sir, Vocab Malone, we connected through that. And then, that made history.
So then I
Before I
don't.
knew it, we're in Newark.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when this was, but a couple. I don't know, a couple months ago or so, I called you and said, "Hey, I'm going to be coming out to Jersey," and you were probably pretty
Right.
surprised to hear from me.
Right. Well, your name came up on the phone because I put your name, and I said, "Who's this?"
Yeah.
Then he said, "This is Vocab Malone." I said, "What?"
Yeah.
Okay.
So somehow we got each other's number at Doctor for the Block. To be honest, I don't remember exactly. But I said, "Hey, this guy's from Jersey. We haven't talked in a while. I'll let him know I'm coming to Newark." So, audience, if you don't know what happened last week, I went to Newark, New Jersey for DebateCon 5, put on by the awesome channel ran by our friend James over there, Coons, I believe. And it's modern day debate, and you've seen a lot of the debates have been coming out. So I was going over for that as well as some other things in the New York side, but we'll talk about that later. And so I said, well, let's see who we got out there. And then when I call you, you tell me you know the area well and could even help driving around, which is more than I ever could have asked for.
That's right. I've been a rideshare driver for the last 3 years, and I've been in and out of Newark, all different situations, all different neighborhoods. And so basically, I was like, well, I mean, I'm probably the best guy for you to help you drive around Newark. So
Yeah, and I had
yeah,
no
definitely.
idea.
And then
It's not like
yeah,
I called you
and
because I knew that. I called you just because I said, he's from Jersey. And then you tell me that. And I'm like, what? And then I don't remember when I told you, but I was like, well, I have all these locations I need to visit for this video I'm shooting on Abba Bivens, real name Edward Meredith Bivens. And you're like, okay, I can help with that. And so it was the most epic thing because now, guys, we've got someone who knows the area that's down to take us around. And it was very cold. How cold was it?
man, it was in the 20s.
Yeah, it was pretty cold. It was pretty cold. But we're gonna hear more about your story and what you do, Brendan. But we were not alone. We also had JP. Shout out to JP. I asked him to be on the show, and he said, "Oh, he's too busy hanging out with Inspiring Philosophy." So I guess he couldn't join us today. We'll get JP uncut on another time. But we also had another member of the party, the one and only, all the way from the BX. Who do we got in the house? We've got my brother and your brother, James. Welcome to Street Apologists Live. Oh, you just disappeared. Don't worry, I'm going to bring you back right now. Okay, you are back live. We can hear you. If you make sure you're unmuted and we can see you. What's going on, James?
God bless you guys. God bless you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And so how did
Happy to
you
be
get
here.
involved in this whole mess? Because JP is coming to the airport to pick us up, which is really cool of him, by the way. Listen, internet.
Yeah.
I know some of you people don't like JP because he's loudmouth. What do you expect? He's from New York, okay? But second of all, let me tell you, he's a very kind, sharing, caring guy in real life. And he drove like an hour and a half to come get us. I mean, how long was that ride? Because he got you, then came over. How long was that ride to come to the airport?
Yeah, it was like an hour and a half.
Because he had, did he pick you up or did you train over to him
No, he
and
had to come pick me up, and we went, and then we went. It was from my house to the airport. It was like an hour and a half.
so he went Queens, Bronx, Newark.
Bronx. Yep.
Dang. Hey, that
Yeah, it
deserves
was
a
a lot.
hand clap. That deserves a hand clap. And
JP's the real one.
yeah, and so he really is. So I appreciate that. But I was really glad to meet you. And it was nice to know that JP, is annoying as he is, has friends. That's good. So how long you
That's
guys
a
known?
fact.
Yeah, how long you guys known each other?
Me and JP known each other for like, I would say like 3 years, but not like close relationship. Just like we've known of each other. But as I started to get into like apologetics, like seriously, um, we started to like converse more and things like that. And then we kind of got to talk more. He told me about the event that he hosted with Tazariak and God Logic. So that's we kind of chopped it up more down there. He was more cool with like my friends, the ones that make music,
Right.
and that's kind of how me and him met each other, like through my friends. So yeah,
Because you're involved with some guys that do Christian hip hop ministry, right?
yeah, exactly.
So, and you've had a heart to do apologetics for a while, and you've done some stuff. But what's a little bit about your journey or your ministry there?
Yeah, so as far as like just apologetics, or as far as like,
Like apologetics and evangelism,
yeah,
that type of stuff.
yeah,
Since
yeah.
because that's
So
really what we're talking about today. Talking about
yeah,
we're
yeah.
in Newark. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I've always had a heart for evangelism, but as far as apologetics and defending the faith, it started to come when I was hearing questions that I didn't know the answers to. So, um, but I really started to get into as far like Hebrew Israelite apologetics and defending the faith against Hebrew Israelites. That's kind of like what I like to defend the faith against, because I started to notice how quick they were growing in the inner city, like where I'm from, the Bronx. Like they're like growing really rapidly, and it's so easy for like where I'm from for people to feel like it's just something easy to connect with. Like I just see all these brothers, they all love each other, they all show love to each other. It's fellowship, it's community, and where
Oh, did he freeze up? Must be that East Coast weather again, James. You might have to reconnect. You're frozen up. You probably got to drop and then come back in. Okay, well we'll get him back on. These things happen when you got guests. But let's look at the live chat real quick while we're making sure we get James back on. Shout out to the Orthodox Moore. Orthodox Moore, you seem like a fair guy. I might send you, if you're interested, a resume. We might even let you become a channel mod if you're interested, because I see you every now and then. I think you could mod when you come through. Not a resume, sorry, a little. It's like a little, not a little cheat sheet, but an application type thing. Anyways, let me know if you're interested. Shout out to him. We also got DWC. We got Key Apologetics. Let me know if that's how you say it. J3 Apologetics. He does real good work. Daughter, real faithful viewer coming in. J3 wants to know when I'm coming to Los Angeles. Well, I've already been there a number of times. Let me tell you something. I don't love LA like I love New York and now, hey, I'll add New Jersey to the list. I hate going to California. I feel like I'm an East Coast person at heart, even though I'm really, a Midwest boy at heart as far as where I was raised. I'll get over there when I can, though,
right in
J3. Yeah, but you gotta, J3, you gotta get like entice me, because I like I said, even though it's close to Phoenix where I stay, I don't like going to LA, man. LA, whatever. Matamoro says, ever been to Houston or South Texas? I've been to El Paso actually last fall, and then I also have been to Houston for an apologetics event back in, I'm going to say 2018. Maybe it's 2019, but I put out some video footage of that because I did hit up IUIC. And guess what? In this video today, we're going to talk about us hitting up IUIC. So you're going to kind of come on a little journey with us today, audience. Kingdom Apologetics says, how true are you? This is the name of a local hip-hop shop that I support and frequent. That's why it's called. It's just their logo. It's just all it is. Shout out to Ham Sunshine, and shout out to Born Again Bars and Scripts. Okay, so we got everybody. I think James is trying to reconnect here, hopefully sooner rather than later. And let us watch some video footage. And so let's try to give the background of what we were doing here. I go to Newark. JP comes picks us up, and now JP's cool, and his car was full. He picks us up. It's me, David Wood, John McCrae, JP, and James. We're all in the car together. We get dropped off at the hotel, check in, and then I'm like, yo, can we go? Let's go. And they're like, yo, it's cold. Da, da, da. We meet Brendan there, but Brendan is gracious enough to drive us around. So now we're going to hit these places. So I show him all these addresses, and he's like, oh, okay, I got this. What'd you think when I showed you those addresses?
Nothing. You know,
It just
it was they were all within close proximity with each other. I couldn't really visualize the neighborhoods, but I was like, okay, no problem.
it seemed like you knew where a lot of them were, though.
The thing is, like, once I got to there, like, I can gauge, oh, I've been here before, I know how this neighborhood is, I know how that neighborhood is, but I guess we can get to that one neighborhood later on. So like, I basically from the map I couldn't tell, I couldn't see it, but once we were there, then I was like, okay, yeah, I know this area.
Nice, nice, and we appreciate because originally JP was going to drive us around, but JP's from Queens. He doesn't know the area, so it would have been, it would have been a lot more rough sledding, as they say. You know. Hey, shout out to Jay Fry for the first super chat. Thank you very much, Jay Fry. And we are joined again by James. He's back in effect. How you doing there? If you get frozen,
sorry about that, guys.
that's all right. If you get frozen, just come on back. We'll work it out. So, I don't know if I explained to you guys that well. I'm talking about the people that were in the car, what we were trying to do. Did you? How would you explain to someone the video that we were shooting, that we were working on Friday night? How would you, James? How would you try to describe it? If let's say you talk to your auntie, she's like, "What'd you do Friday night?" And you say, "I was shooting a video." She said, "What's it about?" How would you explain what we were doing?
Yeah, so I would explain it as there's this cult called the Hebrew Israelites that they believe really erroneous things, and we were going around trying to like basically searching or finding where they started and things like the where they originated at, the original congregations. Yeah, that's how I would explain it to them.
That's a good start. All right, Brendan, add your 2 cents to the mix.
Well,
Your aunt says, what's the video about? What do you tell her?
that's funny you mentioned. So I'm involved in a ministry where I basically try to share the gospel with the international students. So I had an opportunity to explain to them what I was doing over the weekend. And so I told them, I said, well, I have a friend who likes to tell people about Jesus, and he wanted to film a documentary about the background of this religion. I didn't say cult, I said religion. And in this religion, this particular religion, they say that white people are the enemy. And as soon as I said that, they were like, "What?" Like they're from another country, a whole other place, and they started asking all these other questions. And then they're like, where did this religion come from? Oh, I said, well, it started in America. Um, and I said we went to different spots and we kind of documented how it got started with my friend. And I'll save the rest for I guess for later on in the video.
No
But I
problem.
told him about the antics as we were filming the video.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to show that right now. Shout out to Andrea, great supporter, runs a street apologist, social media, and also a mod. So I think it was the first. No, it was like the second or third location, I think. The second or third location that we went to was the IUIC. For those who don't know, IUIC stands for Israel United in Christ. A lot of people have seen them more and more these days. Purple and gold guys. James, have you seen IUIC out there in the Bronx?
Yeah, I have.
Have you ever talked to any IUIC members?
Nah, I've never spoken to them. I really wanted to, but I haven't gotten the opportunity yet.
But you've talked to another group, WFI.
Yeah, I've spoken to Watchmen from Israel.
So they do believe a lot of similar things.
Yeah. I've never spoken to IUIC, so I'm not sure exactly what they believe, but I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they believe a lot of similar things. For example, they both have a 12 tribes chart, and it's essentially the same. So we go to Israel United in Christ, which is a One West style Hebrew Israelite camp, and we're in Newark, New Jersey, and it's like in this dark corner. It's like this dark corner. How would you describe the block we were on, James, over there?
That block was like creepy. I don't know if you guys ever seen that episode of SpongeBob where he goes down the cliff to where the bus keeps leaving him. You guys ever seen that episode? That's like what it reminded me of. It was just like this creepy block where nobody really wants to be at. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it was like off the main street a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's just like a lot of dark places for people to hide and pop
yeah,
out.
yeah. And they just can't. Yeah, you gotta
Well,
play the video.
that's exactly what happened to us. So I'm gonna play the video,
Yeah,
but tell people, didn't they just pop out, James?
yeah. They just popped out of nowhere. Like we didn't even see them coming. Like all I hear is, what are you guys are recording the building? I'm like, where did you guys just come from? Like from the dark alley somewhere? Like,
Bro, they popped out on us. They spawned, bro. They respawned. Like Brendan, when they first pulled up, did you realize like what was happening?
Yeah, well, I spotted them. They were hanging out kind of on the side street,
Uh-huh.
and I saw them. I thought they were just hanging out. I didn't know that they were the part associated with with the building. And but then as they started approaching you, I started realizing, wait a minute, maybe, this is like the security or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wasn't expecting that. And if you want to describe the block, that's a hot block. Okay, that's what people would say around here. That's a hot block. And if anybody watching, if they know it, that was the border of Irvington and Newark. Um, and so I was like, all right, there's nobody around. Thank God there was a lot of cars coming through, so there was a lot of people like watching us. And immediately I was like, okay, so we're kind of outnumbered. In my mind, I'm thinking we're outnumbered because they got radios. And I don't know what's gonna happen. But honestly, I was like, well, I'll let you explain the rest, but we can talk about that in a minute. But
Well,
anyway, so yeah, yeah, I was thinking if anything were to happen, if anything were to go down right now, everybody would have a quick way to get out. So immediately I was like, somebody's got to be in the car to make sure that we can get away quick if we needed to.
bro, you're the apologetics getaway driver. Hey, we got a new nickname, Brendan, Baby Driver. Wasn't that
Baby
show?
driver?
Wasn't that movie? Wasn't it called like Baby Driver or something where he was like the speedster? I thought it was called Baby Driver or something like that. It didn't have nothing to do with babies though. Was someone in the live chat knows? I thought that he was like that young kid, and he was like, I didn't actually see it, but I thought it was called Baby Driver. Anyways, GDM says, how did you find out where they have camp out? So this is a Friday night GDM, so we weren't going to them to try to talk to them in the first place. This video was more like a miniature historical documentary about Abba Bivens, actually real name Edward Meredith Bivens, the founder of One Westism. One Westism is the style of Hebrew Israelism that results in the camp stuff that you see out on the street with, these people are evil, we're going to enslave them. Bivens is his real last name, not Bivens, but they call him Bivens. Bivens is the founder of that. And so in this video about that type of Hebrew Israelism, we wanted to go to a school that exemplifies his style of teaching in the modern era, because he died back in 72. In Newark, New Jersey, by the way. This is a big reason why I wanted to shoot this video there. So we're just at IUIC school in Newark, New Jersey, and that's easy to find. It's easy to find an IUIC school because they're publicly listed and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So we're at the school, but it's barely a school. It's got the roll-up doors. It's got, you see a couple cameras there, but no one really is like around right there. We hadn't even really hit record. We just set up a quick tripod. And two dudes just come walking out. And I thought they were pedestrians at first about to walk through, but then they stop right in front of us and start talking to us. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a thing. So I'll play a little bit of the video here to make sure I got the right one, and then we'll talk about it. Because it ended up being like kind of part of the whole thing in a way. But let me play. I got to rewind it real quick, but I'm going to explain the scene real quick. So there's the building we're talking about. Okay, you see? And there's the two guys, but I'm going to go back. This is about a minute and a half clip. We weren't really recording. We had just started. And if you look, you'll see that the guys have cameras on. So check this out, everybody. It's about to get kind of interesting. And then you'll see I start trying to record actually the footage for the little mini doc.
So my brother, the thing is right now you can't be here right now.
Okay.
At the moment. Okay?
Why not?
Hold on 1 second.
So it's kind of funny. My brother, you can't be here right now. I'll just simply say, why not? Hold on a second. Well, don't you have an answer for that question? If you're telling me I can't be there, don't you got a reason, bro? So I guess that other guy walking away is like the supervisor over top of this guy. But notice we're on a sidewalk. We didn't knock on the door. We didn't do nothing. We're just out there to film what they're building in the backdrop.
Oh, my brother, the thing is right now you can't be here right now.
Okay.
At the moment. Okay?
Why not?
Hold on 1 second.
Why can't I be here? I don't know if you listen, but you can hear the guy on the phone says, "Can you hear the video?" Did you guys hear him say that? The guy on speakerphone?
I can't really hear it. No, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, he says if you have headphones on, audience, you'll be able to hear. Whoever's there says, "Can you hear the video?" I guess what they're saying are like, "Can you see what they're filming or something?" I don't know exactly what he's saying, but he says, "Can you hear the video?" That's what the guy on speak, because they're on their phones too. And then the other guy in the corner is going to call this guy over, the one who's telling us to shoo off the block.
Hold on 1 second.
Why can't I be here?
Yes.
Why can't I be here? Don't let him intimidate. So I don't know if you guys noticed he's got his fringes on. Hey, who's that guy? Who's that guy?
Come on now.
What'd you say, James? You said you saw his fringes?
Yeah. I seen his fringes at that point when he was walking away.
Oh, okay. That's actually, you know what's funny? That's the first time I noticed too. Was actually right there. That's the first
That's
time.
how I knew they were with the building, because at first I thought they were just pedestrians, like Brendan said.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
Yeah, same thing. All right, I'm just gonna put us on the screen. So I just want to. Okay, if you're watching this, audience, I just want to explain this and run this by you, because you might be like, "Oh, vocab's rude, this or that." I can understand. First of all, understand, I'm not there to record anyone. All I'm doing is saying, here's an example of people who still follow Bivens' teaching in 2025. I'm here at the school. It's the backdrop for one part of the script, okay? So I'm not there. We're not there to bother anybody. We're not even, we're not fixing anything. We're not touching their property. We're on the public sidewalk. But the second we go, and this is on a Friday night, this means they got security just watching their building like that, right? Jumps out and tells us you got to tries to push us off the block. We're like, well, no, why would we have to go? What's the rule here, So here's what happens. You have to understand, people, these guys actually come to real churches with people who are leaving Sunday service, and they get on the microphone with a whole group of 20 guys while you're leaving. Mama, grandma, auntie, all of them are leaving church, right? Grandpa, uncle, cousin, they're leaving church, and they go, "Where's your pastor? Bring out your pastor. We just want to talk to him. We just want to have why are you at church on Sunday?" And they put up a video that says, "Elder Warren Robinson embarrassed by the men of the Lord." And they put the man's face with the church address or something like that in the thumbnail. They do stuff like that. Or if they don't put the church address, they'll put the full name of the church, Greater Bethesda Baptist, that type of thing, right? This is what they do. They call it the church bliss. And you know when it started, their favorite day to do it? It's on Mother's Day. Because don't you know Mother's Day is of the devil, according to these guys. Not as if the Bible doesn't say honor your father and mother, but whatever. So there they are out there, bada. And then they're just upset just because we're filming a video with their building in the backdrop. Don't be a hypocrite.
Oh, my brother, the thing is right now you can't be here right now.
Okay.
At the moment. Okay?
Why not?
Hold on 1 second.
Why can't I be here?
Yes.
Why can't I be here? Don't let him intimidate.
I love how you asked him the question. I love how he came up to you and then you asked him why you can't be here, and then he walked away, and then you continue to ask him like, why can't I be here? Like, you came up to me, now I have to ask you the question 2 times. Like,
yeah, it's like, didn't you have a reason ready for why I'm not allowed to be there other than just because I say so?
Literally.
It's just bizarre. And he's on the phone, and then the other guy, if you guys notice, the other guy calls him over. He's like, "Yo." But now, what's the point of this? This is not a very big deal. In the scope of the world, this is not that big of a deal. But here's the importance. If you see the spiritual reality behind the video, this brief little thing. Remember, ultimately, this is about us doing a video on Bivens. Here's the spiritual reality. Demonic forces are at play, and we fight not against flesh and blood. So these two men are deceived. We don't know these men's background. We don't know what they've been through. They could have the best. They could have had great parents who are awesome pastors. We don't know anything about these two men other than they're currently in Newark, New Jersey, right? And they're part of IUIC. But there's spiritual deception at work, and it's got people so paranoid they watch their build. Look, if you had a church this size, would you have someone watching your building 24/7? Cults make people paranoid. Now, IUIC watching this be like, oh, that's because we're threatened. Churches don't operate this way because there's a security in the Lord. I'm not saying you can't have any real security as far as physical. What I'm saying is, though, cults always do this to members because they sell phobia. You must understand this. Cults sell phobia. It is a part of the cult playbook. If you don't like what I'm saying, look up testimonies of ex-cultic survivors. Look up experts who do deprogramming and who work with people who come out of cults. Look at testimonials of long time. I'm not even talking about IUIC. I'm talking about any group that operates in a cultic way. They sell fear to their members. And so here's what you guys need to understand. This is like kind of funny in a way, yes, but there's deeper stuff behind this. And I just hope you see it, audience, because ultimately this is real. And I just hope you're seeing it. So let's watch a little bit of this.
Yo. Yes.
Why can't I be here? Don't let them intimidate. God bless you. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna be loud. Okay. Just stand far away. I'm gonna be loud. Go ahead. Hit that play. Hit that start button, bro. If they come over, just record them. Record them the whole time. Yeah. Yeah. I'm standing in front of the Newark, New Jersey branch of Israel United in Christ. IUIC is considered a radical version of Hebrew Israelism. Still, they have scores of schools and almost 10,000 followers all over the U.S. and even some in other countries. IUIC is only one group amongst the more radical branch of Hebrew Israelism. There are literally hundreds of what are called One West Israelite camps all over the world. But did you know the man who inspired this school behind me and the others just like it has a strong connection to Newark, New Jersey, where we are now? Today, I'm gonna elucidate the life and times of Abba Bivens. To do that, we're going back to 1919. Looking good, sounded good.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. All right, that was kind of fire.
Good? Yes, sir.
That was kind of fire.
Dope.
What?
So, the good thing about what happened now is, guess who gets to be in the video about IUIC? IUIC.
Literally.
Hey, check this out. D News in the live chat, and this is something, actually, she's the one who told me this. I didn't know this. IUIC's in other countries like India now. Now, I knew they were in other countries. I didn't know they were in India, though. Yeah. D New, can you tell us more about this Indian camp? Bro, they're in India. What?
That's new.
Yes. Ain't that crazy?
I didn't know they believed Indians were Israelites.
Okay, so hold on. Where is it? Well, I was going to pull this out. Okay, so check this out. I'll talk real quick about that. One West style Hebrew Israelism. It's got the 12 tribes, and so you know what you are supposed to be, right, James? Do you know what you're
Simeonite.
Yes, Simeonite, because Dominican. That's right. So you'd be considered Simeon under their rubric. That apparently one of Bivens' students came up with, a man named Arya, and apparently Bivens promoted it in his lifetime. This is the best evidence we have about how this chart was brought about. So this would have been sometime before 1974, maybe 71. We don't have the details, but something around there. We know the chart became more prominent like in the 80s and 90s, but there's some conflict in the oral traditions we've received from the disciples of the disciples of the disciples. Nonetheless, you got this idea that, so Dominicans, Simeon, right, for example, Well, it kind of stayed that way. Basically, if you look at the early versions of One Westism, everybody's in the Western Hemisphere, kind of like what you're saying. IUIC has wanted to become a missionary Hebrew Israelite group, though. So what IUIC has done is they went and dropped Isaiah 11 on the bottom of the chart. Brendan, do you have a Bible by you?
On my phone.
Could you bring up Isaiah 11:11 in a second here? Brendan, get that
Want me to be the
Isaiah
reader?
11:11. So what they did is they dropped Isaiah 11:11 on the bottom of the chart, and now they're using that as an excuse to just have Israelites be everywhere. Okay, so that's
long.
one thing, huh?
It's long. You want me to read it?
Wait, it's just Isaiah 11:11. Do I got the wrong verse? You said it's
Well, I
long.
got the KJV. It's a little longer than the ESV.
Now you're scaring me. Like, did I just tell you the wrong verse or something, bro? Well, read it and we'll find out if I got the right verse. Go ahead, drop it. Read.
And it shall come. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea.
All right, thank you. That was Isaiah 11:11. So do you see what's going on there? They use Isaiah 11:11 to basically show that from all over the known world, you'll be able to find their fellow brothers in arms, Hebrew Israelites. So do you see that? What's the country listed after Cush? Egypt, Pathros, Cush, what?
Elam.
Yeah, so Elam is traditionally associated with India. So they call Indians Elamites, not Edomites. They call Indians from East India, they call them Elamites. You guys see? So what's going on there is they're saying some of them are there. Now, what's interesting is there is a group of actual Jews. Now, when I say Jews, they have very small Levantine ancestry, is my understanding. But there is a group who apparently, of real actual Israelites who went over. Now, they're associated more with the state of Israel, though. But they've done testing, and apparently it looks like it's more on the paternal side versus the maternal side. So when we talk about maternal versus paternal, we're talking maternal mom, paternal dad. So apparently on the paternal side, there's a small percentage of some of these groups that have said they're Semitic, where they have some DNA that goes back to the Levant, meaning Middle Eastern, as people would call it now. So the point by saying that is there's some evidence that there's small groups of people who did go over there, but I don't know who they're looking for. I'd love to see a video of this camp. DNU just dropped a flyer. So look, there. Someone go on there right now. IsraelUnite.org, IUIC flyers, the Israelites in India. J3 says, I wonder what tribe they selling in India. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, J3, but I'll tell you what. Whatever they're selling phobia. Deneen O says, what makes IUIC so popular? And Azarahu David Israel says they have really good presentation and YouTube production. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Daughter brings up some stuff about Persians being there as well, and Alex also finds it interesting with the whole Indian thing. So yeah, getting a little, off there, but just making the point, the IUIC spread, and they're all over there. They got a little spot in Newark. So we're going there because we're doing a video about Bivens, but Isaiah 11:11 is their justification. I call it the junk drawer of Israelism. You know, James, I don't know, maybe growing up, like maybe someone in the family, mom, had a drawer that was just random stuff in there, which is like like the tape, the scissors, matches, might be an old sock, but it's like all this junk drawer. Everything you can't fit somewhere, you put it. Isaiah 11:11 is the junk drawer of Israelism. They can find anyone in there as an excuse to use now with that verse, basically. So we're there talking to them, but not because we were there to talk to them. We're there to do this video on Bivens. And that just happened to happen, and I thought it was interesting. Now, James, you kind of walk. So I walked to the stop sign, and I was like talking to him. You kind of walked over with me, which I appreciate.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I apologize that I mistakenly went with PR instead of DR. I edited that part out of the video because now I know the truth, and the truth sets me free. So I apologize about that. Now I know
Oh,
you're.
you took
Well, okay.
Yeah, now I know you're Simeonite, not an Ephraimite. I'm sorry about that.
it's all good. Don't worry about that.
But what'd you think of that little interaction? Being
Nah,
there.
it was funny because you could tell that the young man he wanted to engage you. He wanted to go back and forth with you, and I could tell that he really wanted to. But the older man was like had his back to you. He was like, I
Yeah.
could tell he was like whispering things to him, like don't even talk to him. But I think the older man was doing it because he didn't want the younger man to get like schooled, or he didn't want him to like hear something that could throw off his faith or something like that. So he didn't want him to like engage with you. But the young man in his zeal, he wanted to engage you.
Yeah, I agree. Brendan, were you able to see or hear anything on your end about the little interaction we had?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't see it, but I was walking out of the car and kind of coming back and forth, and I waited out of the car. I was like looking to see if people were coming, but I didn't. I heard yelling. I don't remember exactly. Um, I don't remember exactly what was said, but I just heard a lot of stuff, a lot of noise in the background.
Well, yeah, because I had to talk to him across the street. Now, just so you
Yeah,
guys know, if you're
they were
tuning
filming you
in,
too.
huh?
They were filming you too on the camera. I
Because
don't know if
you
they
mean
were posting it live.
you mean their chest cameras, or do you mean another phone or
No,
something?
no, they street because they just stood across the street and he had his phone out and the camera of his phone. I don't know if it was a tablet or a phone. It was facing you
Oh, I
while
guess you're
you. I
right.
don't know if you saw that, but it was while you were filming.
I guess actually I didn't notice that. All right, so I want to show briefly the end of our interaction with him, and then we're going to keep it moving. Just so you guys know, this video is not just all about this part. The video is about the larger Bivens video, but this was one of the more interesting things that happened. We're also going to visit a mosque, and we're going to visit the Commandment Keepers. So hold on, just let me show you the end. This is about a minute long. I got to line this up real quick. It will take just a second. And
my brother, the
just
thing
hold
is
on,
right
hold
now,
on.
you can't leave.
Got to set this up real quick. Here we go. This guy right here. You'll be debating people on the microphone with the video camera, but you don't want to do it now. That's interesting, you know what I mean? You guys gonna be at Broad Market tomorrow? Around what time? I'll come see you.
Okay.
Broad Market tomorrow? What'd you say?
I said you was trying to turn on the engine with that one.
Well, because I know where they
I
street
heard
teach.
you say that, by the way.
Huh?
I heard you when you were saying this. I heard you.
Oh, you heard this part? Well, yeah, because I know where they street teach, and I was thinking in my head, man, what if we managed time to get over there? Now we didn't manage time to get over there, but I was thinking like, man, it'd be epic if we managed time to get over there where they street teach and interact with them, and when they're all done up in their stuff and all that. That would have been interesting. Around what time? I'll come see you. Broad Market tomorrow? He's just saying you can't be here. Come on. What? And then watch. He's going to say something, guys. It's going to be very faint. He's going to say, man, you're lucky that my supervisor is not. And then the guy tells him to stop, and he goes, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Now, it's very faint, but if you listen close, if you do it on the rewind, you'll be able to hear it. I don't know what he's going to say by, like, if his supervisor, I guess he's thinking his supervisor would engage us or something. But I'm like.
He actually said, you're lucky that my senior is here.
Oh, he said that my senior is here.
Yeah, because I saw in your video you put not here, but he said, you're lucky my senior is here.
Oh!
Yeah, that's what he said.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Wait, did you hear that when we were on the street? Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, dang!
It's like we put him at the right time, bro.
Well, that's kind of like you could take that statement a number of ways. Him saying that, because his senior is making him not. You know what's funny? I think I understood that in the moment. It's just on playback. I thought he said not here. But now I understand that, because in the moment, if you notice when he cuts himself off, I go, oh, he almost went there. But it's just on playback. I like second guess myself. You're right. Okay, so Bro, that makes it even more interesting, man. All right, let's see what he says.
My senior. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He was about to go there.
Yes,
All right, brother. Yep, you're right. Wow. But you hear him go, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. It's like, bro, didn't you? It's weird. They're like, we want to do this religion to get out of being subservient, and then they go into this religion and all they do is be subservient. I'm just saying.
You know this the home of the truth. All the doctrine.
Okay, I got to explain it real quick. He says, you know this is the home of the truth. That may not seem like much, but there's a few things with that, guys. First of all, that's claiming an exclusive authority within their group. Not even just other Hebrew Israelites. That's a claiming exclusive. It's kind of like turning their group into sort of the Vatican of the movement. But here's the other thing. They didn't used to say that. That is from ISUPK, a different school. ISUPK is one of their logos or slogans is ISUPK, the home of the truth. So I don't know if IUIC is officially co-opting it, but it's interesting this young man's using it. Brother.
You know this the home of the truth. All the doctrine.
That's what we told y'all when y'all blitz our churches, you know? So he says, you know, this is the home of the truth, go about your business. I said, well, that's what we said when you came to our churches. Proverbs 28:1. The wicked flee when none pursue. What?
I saw what you did there.
Well, you know they say that to bystanders on the street when they leave after a debate. I'm not, I'm saying what they say to people when they walk away. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Proverbs 28:1.
I didn't hear you say that. That's funny.
When none pursue.
It's the home of the truth.
That's ISUPK's slogan, brother. Proverbs 28:1. The wicked flee when none pursue.
Vocab Stallone, First Blood, man.
You're smirk when you're walking away.
Hey, but in all honesty, when I saw that other car pull up, because I don't know if you saw, did you see that other car pull in?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's when I was like, all right, it's time to go. we don't need to be here. We don't need to see how many people were in that car or if there's any other cars coming. We're good. We're good.
You think they pulled up? You think it was coming, or they pulled up specifically because we were there?
I mean, the guy was on the phone, and so to the audience, that first interaction was in the beginning, and then the end interaction you just saw was at the end. In the meantime, we filmed, so there was enough of a gap that somebody else could come over there. So I would think since he was on the phone in the beginning, someone was coming because of that. That's my guess. We can't really know for sure.
Yeah. You know.
Dinu says, the nerve of IUIC to take issue when people show up to their building when they've been showing up to churches for years. Yeah, she's exactly right. Exactly right. I mean, I'm just saying, And then Opinionator X says, where can I see the utmost debate? Well, let me tell you something real quick. I know this is a different topic, but it has to do with the New York trip, and then we're going to move on to the next location, which is the Commandment Keepers. I'm under agreement with Sonetta that I can't release the debate because it's like his exclusive material. Because he orchestrated it. He's the one who filmed it and recorded it. He did all the work and stuff, but I filmed it too. So here's my point. I can't publicly put it out. He has made it available only for his patrons, but guess what? I've done the same thing. So you can see it, but you've got to become a patron. I usually do not put a paywall behind a debate. I don't think I've ever done that in my life. Dinu can tell you. Andrea can tell you. I don't know who else is a patron member. Ham Sunshine. Are you a patron or you just super chat sometimes? I actually don't know off the top of my head. But they can all tell you I've never done that before. With this debate, I had to because of the arrangement I made with Sonetta. So you can see it, and you just got to be a patron for a short time. You can come in, watch it, and it's a great debate. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Shaka Atmos. He does like Kemetic Egyptology stuff. Totally different, but he was in Harlem, and Sunday night I went over to his apartment, actually debated him in his apartment. And it was actually a good time. We showed a lot of respect to each other. It was actually very good. It wasn't a bad, it was fascinating actually. So that's the only way you can see it. But Opinionator X, I'm also going to make it available for YouTube channel members next week. I just don't have a choice. And until Sonetta puts it out, then I'm free to put it out on my channel. But until then, I'm not allowed to because of the agreement we made, and I got to respect that because he is the one who set it up. So, Yondell, thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Oh, buddy. Thank you, Yondell. Okay, so let's move on to the location we spent the most time at, which was relatively uneventful compared to the IUIC one. At the Commandment Keepers. James, off top, what do you remember about the Commandment Keepers location? Maybe some of the things that were said. Just what do you remember from being there? This is all, stream of consciousness. Whatever you remember about the Commandment Keepers.
All right, I remember that they started in Harlem, and then they went to Jersey, because they couldn't find a building, and they finally found a building in Jersey, and they're not like the Hebrew Israelites we see nowadays. They're kind of like more like Torah only or something like that.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. And that's where Abba Bivens, that's where he came out of and started his thing. So that's kind of like what I remember.
Man, you got pretty much every detail. Brendan, you got anything left? I don't know if you could add anything to that because he got so much of it right. Maybe just talk a little about the area it was in or what you remember about the building, maybe, or what do you know about Commandment Keepers? Because, James, that was a great summary, by the way. What would you say, Brendan?
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember just as much as what he said. I think it was late 1800s. You said in your documentary?
1919 is when their congregation started.
Oh, okay. And then I went to go get the book for you. The neighborhood, if anybody knows Newark, it's in the ironbound section of Newark.
Hold on, I'm gonna go get the book. Tell
And
him what happened. I'm gonna get the book for real.
nothing much happened. I mean, people walking around outside, but they were just like, it was around the time when people were coming home, so they were parking their cars, and people walking in the background. But other than that, it was pretty uneventful, like you said. My introduction to the history of Hebrew Israelism. And I think you mentioned too that the congregation, right? Did you say that it was what was the demographic of this group?
Oh, the Commandment Keepers? Well, there's not a lot
Yeah.
of them left. There's not a lot of them left, first of all. And it's not like a Black, Hispanic, Native American thing. It's pretty much just a, Black congregation. But yeah, so we were doing the video, and I had the book that Bivens wrote while he was in the Commandment Keepers, and I was supposed to show it at a certain point. But so we get out, we set up our stuff. I'm going along the script, and then I realized I forgot the book in the car. Now, guys, it was very cold that night. Brendan, God bless his heart. You get a round of applause, man. Went all the way back, and I think you parked like, what, 2 blocks, a block and a half away or something?
Block and a half. Yeah,
he
there
went
was
back.
a lot of spots available, so it wasn't bad.
But this is the book that Bivens wrote, Marks of a Lost Race. He wrote it around 1950, and this is the book. And this is kind of like really marks the beginning of the One West movement. So the One West movement came out of a congregation that practiced what some scholars would call Black Judaism. And by Black Judaism, everybody, I don't mean Jewish folks who are Black in some way or that were proselytes and converted into Judaism. I don't mean that. Black Judaism usually is basically a parallel to mainstream forms of Judaism, kind of operating with some similar features, but mixing in other elements and not really having some of the same controls as far as, within mainstream Judaism, there's a lot of effort like to determine how far back you can go your lineage and stuff like that. It's just a different setup. And so it's sort of parallel, but they don't really do a lot of crisscrossing. Now, there's exceptions, but for the most part. So we see that Commandment Keepers is a Jewish, a Black Jewish group practicing Black Judaism, I guess is better to say. And then out of that, Bivens comes and then begins his own movement. He used to be under Wentworth Arthur Matthew. Now, you can kind of tell by the name, right? That name, Commandment Keepers, you guys can understand what they're all about. But I have a little bit of footage. So what I'm showing you guys today is behind the scenes footage. So I'm not showing you the finished video. I'm actually showing you like the clips. So here you're going to see like us setting up. It's only like a minute and a half or something like that. It's not a long thing. But you'll also see a little bit of the Commandment Keepers building. This, to my knowledge, is the last building on planet Earth that still bears the name Commandment Keepers in it. Now, there may be another one. I'm saying as of now, to my knowledge, it's the only one that actually still has the name Commandment Keepers. Thing looking good, sounded good.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. You good?
Yes, sir.
The congregation is featured in a scene from the 1970 movie Angel Levine, which starred Harry Belafonte. 3 years later, on December 4th, Rabbi Wentworth A. Matthew, founder of the Royal Ethiopian Hebrews, the Commandment Keepers, passed away in Harlem. The building, called the Dwight House, was sold in 2007 amidst inner turmoil amongst the congregation. The Commandment Keepers were actually without a proper building. The Commandment Keepers were actually without a proper building for about 8 years. But on July 12, 2015, Rabbi Louis formally rededicated the synagogue building here in Newark. That's an important line, so I'm going to make sure I get it right again.
All right, still going. Still going.
The Commandment Keepers were without a proper building for about 8 years. But on July 12, 2015, Rabbi Louis formally rededicated the synagogue building here in Newark. Now, although there were... this is the tricky part.
Cutting.
All right. So the voice you guys are hearing there in the background, that's actually JP. And what's crazy is, what time was that about, guys? We were out there. What time would you say about it was, maybe?
I don't remember.
Six something?
Between 5 and 6, maybe?
Yeah, and it gets dark pretty quick out there these days in East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So it was already dark, and yet the camera looked pretty good. Now that was thanks to that was thanks to JP, right?
Yeah.
He's got that That's iPhone 16 Pro or something?
iPhone 16 Pro Max. That camera's crazy.
Yeah, so again, shout out to JP. Not only did he, it was cool. He let me use his phone for this. And so, that's why the camera looks so good, I think. And yeah. So we were there for a while, right? And mainly just, it was a lot of history. But if you guys looked at that video, you can see, the little symbol for the Commandment Keepers and stuff like that. You said that's in the ironbound section, Brendan? You said that's what that is?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that area is pretty middle class, pretty chill. What?
I don't know if it's middle class. So I guess it's diverse. Got a lot of it has a lot of Brazilian immigrants.
Okay.
Incidentally, and can't really say much. It's near the PATH train too.
Near the what?
In Newark. It's near the PATH train. It's kind of like the other side of downtown Newark. If you're going east toward Jersey City.
Okay.
The PATH train. I'm sorry. That's the train that goes into New York.
Okay, that's the one people take that goes right into Manhattan?
Not right into it from Newark, but you can get to Manhattan from there, yeah.
Okay. When I came back, Brendan, I took a bus from downtown Manhattan, actual bus, into Newark to the airport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can.
You
can
probably went into the train station over there.
Yeah, so I was in Brooklyn, right? And then I took a train to downtown Manhattan. I forgot what train it is. James might know. If you're in Brooklyn, what train are you maybe? I was in the I guess Crown Heights area, James. If you're in that area, I was in Crown. Well, you probably don't know Brooklyn that well, so I guess I shouldn't be asking you either, huh? Yeah, he's like. What's the train you take the most, James? What James? What train do you take most? Huh? Hold on, you're muted. What?
I'm muted?
No, I can hear you now. Go ahead. What train do you take?
I take the 5.
The 5?
That's the train I take. 5, yeah.
The 5. Okay. Yeah. So
in Brooklyn, lettered trains.
Yeah, they were. So I forgot what I took into Manhattan, but I took something, and you said maybe the R. Maybe you might be right, Brendan. I don't know. But I took something into Manhattan, and then from there got on an actual bus, and we took it. Anyways, interesting thing. Opinionator X says, so this is where the whole Black Hebrew movement started. So not exactly. What I'm tracing is the beginnings of a section within Hebrew Israelism, Opinionator X. This video that we're working on is not about the very beginning of Hebrew Israelism. That would go back to Crowdy and a guy named Reverend William Christian. And I'll be doing another video soon where I show you where I visit some of the oldest Hebrew Israelite churches in existence in Newark. Or I guess I should say churches associated with one of the oldest Hebrew Israelite denominations in Newark. And I did that at 2 different places on a Saturday that they would call Sabbath. And that more goes back to the beginning of the movement. So that goes back into the 1890s. Our video kind of picks up in 1919 and then really picks up steam in 1969 as far as what goes down. And so then that's really the next part of our video. I talk about Bivens' death. So to do that, we have to go visit a mosque. Brendan, tell us about the mosque visit. And then I'll ask you next, James, before I show this clip.
Mosque visit was pretty uneventful. So we didn't there were people walking around outside and they didn't approach us. Everybody was cool. It was an all right spot in Clifton Avenue. If anybody knows Newark, it's pretty chill. And we were just kind of hanging out. Just enjoying the neighborhood.
Enjoying the neighborhood. What do you remember about the mosque visit, James? Any details? Anything?
Yeah, like Brendan said, it was pretty uneventful. It was nothing too crazy to really stand out for me personally. Besides the things that you're about to mention.
Right. So we'll show the video and then we'll talk a little bit about that. This is just us behind the scenes footage, the little part we filmed there at the mosque. Let me make sure I've got the right clip. I think this is the right clip. If it's not, I'll... Guys, hit and record. See, a version of the Most United in Christ website under the history section. Here's what it reads. In New Jersey, he was assaulted by the Nation of Islam Muslims because he publicly and biblically denounced Islam as the false religion of the Arabs. As a result, he contracted a bad case of pneumonia. Before he died, he declared Masha and Yaiqub as the school leaders. End quote. A more detailed, yet lesser known and non-standard account of Bivens' death is provided by Tahar in the spring of 2020 in the course of 2 different videos. He's the leader of the GMS camp. Here's what he said. I heard it from Yaiqub and Ariyah and Masha. Here, could you hold up a little higher? That's what I'm worried about. Okay. James was holding the he was holding the iPad. Poor guy. Because it's like a teleprompter. But good job. Thank you. So here's what's crazy. In 1972, if we've got the date right, and as of now, that's the date we had. Some people will give 74. So between 72 and 74, Bivens was beat to death. Now, technically, the beating led to injuries that led to his death. But as a result of the beating, he died. He didn't die in the street. He died sometime later in a medical facility. And apparently his followers, according to the oral reports, were coming in there telling him that they knew he was John the Baptist. Because they believe Bivens is John the Baptist reincarnated. Crazy enough, I didn't even really get to that in the video, but they believe he's John the Baptist reincarnated. And also Elijah the prophet, by the way. And Abraham, by the way. So they're telling this, and according to the IUIC website, he appoints leaders over the school. Ariyah, Masha, and Yaiqub. Those 3 men. So here's what's wild, though. In the 70s, Bivens wanted to expand what he was doing. He's an older man. He goes into Newark, New Jersey, and he's beat to death by Nation of Islam members. It's crazy. Here's what's even crazier about it. If this is in 72, back in 1965, the killers of another well-known black leader assassinated somebody, and the event happened 60 years ago yesterday. What am I trying to say? Malcolm X's killers came out of that same mosque in 1965. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, watch yesterday's show where I interview an expert on Malcolm X, Dr. Louis DeCaro from Manhattan, and we talk about that very incident. The killers of X came out of the Newark mosque, as did Bivens' killers. Now, granted, there's a space, okay, of a number of years, about 7 years difference, but nonetheless, you have 2 people murdered by Muslims associated with that Newark mosque. So what do you guys think when you were hearing this, when you were there?
There's some violent men in that mosque. That's the first thing that I thought.
Yeah. So, it's funny you said that because that Newark mosque within Nation of Islam got a really bad reputation because of that. Now, here's what's interesting, though. That mosque is no longer a Nation of Islam mosque. So I include this a little bit in the video. Check this out. 1976 or so, maybe it's 75. What happens? Elijah Muhammad dies. He's the leader of the Nation of Islam, the one who fathered all those children with his secretaries. The X-ratted, blew the whistle on. So what do you got going on? He hands over the reins, not to Louis Farrakhan, not to Malcolm X, who was eventually, expelled at this point. Hands over the reins to the school, to his son, to the religious organization. His son takes over and says, hey, let's embrace more Sunni Islam. Drops all the, black Muslim elements, basically. Changes the whole thing into something called American Friends of Islam or something like that. And so now it's like a Sunni-type school. Well, Farrakhan is like, hold on, this isn't what we signed up for. He just changed his Pop's whole thing, right? So in 77, Farrakhan starts NOI 2.0. It's not literally called Nation of Islam 2.0. I'm using that as a turn of phrase, ladies and gentlemen. So he comes out in 77, and the Nation of Islam you see today is Farrakhan's recreation of Elijah Muhammad's original vision from his perspective, started in 77, after Warith, that's his name, took over, because Warith mutated it back into a more traditional form of Islam. I don't know if everyone knew that, but that's the facts on the ground with this situation. So here's the point by me saying this in relationship to where we were in Newark. That mosque today is not an NOI mosque, so no one there would have any association, unless there's some kind of rare exception, to what happened all those years ago in the 60s and 70s. First of all, they'd be not too young, even if they were. But that mosque is not even an NOI mosque today anyway. It's associated with the Warith's movement. Now, Warith has passed on, but it's continued on. Yeah, so Prime Minister knows. Yeah, American Muslim Mission. But Prime Minister, if you look it up, you'll find out that they went through numerous names. And so I think that's one of the other names they had, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of different names because they changed names and changed identities. And so, yeah. But here's what's wild. You got this same situation with 2 different people going on 7 years apart. Not an identical situation, but it's pretty wild. So we were in front of the actual place where they would have came out. But now there's an actual Nation of Islam mosque in Newark. So if you went to that mosque, they would be more ideologically associated with the group that killed X and Bivens, although they've kind of rebranded themselves. They're not as violent these days. They're not doing the same type of stuff, in my understanding. But they would be at a different location, but we were at the proper building. But technically, and I know it's getting detailed, I'm just telling you behind the scenes stuff, and I'm sorry, I'll let you 2 brothers talk. Technically, the building we were in front of is a rebuild because the parking lot is where the old actual physical building was. And there's a part in the B-roll footage where I show it, and it's like a hole in the ground. It's been demoed. But it's that same property. But the actual building we're in front of is a newer building, and the building that actually they would have came out of doesn't actually exist, but they have it on the property. I hope that all makes sense. Brendan, witnessing the Muslims, have you ever done much stuff with NOI, though?
No, not directly, but I have talked with people who are I'm not sure because you can't really ask them, are you NOI? But I've talked with Muslims who were black, about the gospel, and I think I heard some kind of black Muslim responses. I can think 2 times where I did talk to people who kind of seemed like they were NOI, but I wasn't sure.
What about you, Brother James?
No, I don't. I've never spoken with anybody that's NOI.
Also, you probably, what level of knowledge would you say you have about Nation of Islam? Is it like more Hebrew
Nothing.
Israelite, like kind of low?
Yeah, yeah. I don't really have any prior knowledge of NOI at all.
See, that's interesting because if you were coming up a couple decades ago, and let's say you were listening to hip hop, even now we're going back 30 years into the 90s, but and especially if you were on the East Coast, you would have probably seen a lot more Nation of Islam activity. But they just have really shrunk a lot, and it's like because you're interested in urban apologetics and yet you don't know a lot about them. They used to be a big pressing issue for Christians 30 years ago in the city context, and now they're a much smaller presence. But James, check this out. It's not a documentary, but have you ever seen the X movie with Denzel? Spike Lee, Denzel?
No.
I would say watch it. It gives you it's close enough to the truth on a lot of points, and it's a well done movie. Denzel turns in a powerful performance. Spike Lee did a great job. It's a really powerful, epic movie that I think gives you an insight into the man, regardless of how you feel about him. I would say watch it. It would be worth it, and it will really help you understand in an entertaining way more about NOI and who X was within that. Brendan, have you seen that X movie?
No, I haven't.
Man, I'm the old one over here. Well, you guys watch the movie. It's a great movie. If you want to go a little more modern, watch
Pretty long, right?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of an epic style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a movie called
It came out when I was a
Ali.
teenager, and I was like, oh, that's too long. Sorry.
Man, it's a good movie. I think you're going to like it. Seriously. Thanks to Prime Minister for the super chat, by the way. Shout out to you. So, if you want something shorter and newer, I guess you could watch Ali with Will Smith. It's like not really about X, though. See, Azarahu knows. It says low-key a classic. Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Wait, Ali, real quick. I'm sorry to go off track a little bit. Ali was NOI. I thought he was Muslim.
He was NOI because he was closely associated with X and Elijah Muhammad. I think later on he transitioned into a little more standard form of Islam, if I'm not mistaken.
Very cool.
Yandel, thank you again for the super chat. Much love. And he is PR. I'm not getting it wrong this time. And he says, all I remember from the X movie was the get your hand out of my pocket scene. So that's probably the most shocking scene. He's talking about the assassination scene itself. And apparently that's what one of the guys who was creating a distraction, that's what he said. But that's a pretty powerful, shocking. Wendland Young says, I've only read the book. Are you talking about the Alex Haley joint? Is that what you're talking about when you say the book? Daughter says, I was never interested until now. Well, look, it just really shines a light on what life was like then and the transformation of X. And it has propaganda in it. It has propaganda in the sense of it's definitely anti-Christian in some ways, but that's why I think it's important to get it. It gives you some of the same mindsets that you get from Hebrew Israelites these days. And it's just well done. So I love it, even though I recognize propaganda and things like that in it. But it's well done, and it's anyways. I think you guys will enjoy it. But yeah, it'll take a little while to get through. Okay, great comments on the live chat. So we showed that briefly. Anything else about the NOI or X or that part before I go to one of our last scenes here?
I just have a comment. It's crazy how you said that the NOI was one of the main things that the Christians had to worry about. You know, like they were coming at Christians a lot, and that's kind of like how it is with the Hebrew Israelites today.
Yep.
And died out. They're not really that relevant nowadays. So I could just see the same thing happening with Hebrew Israelism. Like they're gonna die out as well, and Christianity will always come out on top, no matter how much people come at it. So that's like the first thing that popped in my mind when you said that they're not that relevant nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amen. You know, Jesus said, I will build my church. The gates of hell will not prevail against it. Jesus promises he's going to build his church. And we see from Revelation, he even prophesies and predicts and tells, whatever you want to use, he tells local churches, you're going to have persecution. But he tells them it's not going to be forever, but some of you are going to get persecuted. Some of you are going to jail, some of you are going to die. But he says, but it's gonna continue on. It's gonna keep on going. You know. Tiffany Black says, watch One Night in Miami too. That was good. So I saw that too. I thought that was all right. It was very interesting. It gave me the sense of like a staged play, like with the acting and the scenes and the dialogue. It had a lot of good stuff to it. X is really epic though. It's hard to beat X. But yeah. Not a bad recommend though. So yeah, you're exactly right. You know, and that's something important to remember. These groups are all excited because they're growing, but you know they're not going to be growing forever. But the church is never going to go away. So here now we're going to go to the Newark, New Jersey downtown courthouse. So Brennan, what can you tell us about this location, the courthouse with the
That's definitely downtown. That's the other side of the Ironbound. And it's close to what is that concert hall I was saying? The Prudential Center.
Oh yeah, is that where Trey
Uh,
Songz was performing?
That's right. Yeah, there was a concert going on that night, which was why we ran into a lot of traffic trying to get pizza.
Yeah, and
But
Brendan's like, something's going on because there's traffic. It was pretty bad traffic. Thanks, by the way, Brendan, for keeping your head cool. We're just over there talking, having fun. Brendan's like trying to navigate, and we're like, there must be something. And now it all makes sense. It was because it was Valentine's Day, so it was like a Valentine's Day R&B love concert, right? So Trey Songz. Who else was it?
somebody I didn't recognize. The other people I didn't recognize, but you knew them.
Yeah, I did at the time, but now James, you don't. Do you
I
remember
pronounced
who?
their name wrong, and you were like, "Oh no, this is how you say it."
Yeah, you're right, but I can't remember who the artist was. Someone could look it up online. Look up concert February 14th, Newark, New Jersey, Trey Songz, and you'll find the other artist. Anyways.
And I had to illegally park my car because there was no spots, and then you guys had to go.
Oh yeah, you did. You were
Remember? So
you were
I
a
wasn't
trooper.
around for this.
Yeah, you didn't even see this. So he illegally parks his
No.
car, puts on the hazards, and just stays there. So we tried to hurry up and try to get it done. And the main thing I kept on saying was, "Hey, I just need the big headed statue." Because there's like that big headed statue there at the downtown courthouse.
Did you find it?
Yeah, I found it. Oh yeah, it was. And now I'm gonna show it real quick. We're gonna show the scene and then I'll explain it. Here we go. Recording?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's gonna roll up a little bit. We're good. Here we go. Last take, my friends. After Bivens' death, his students added in 4 high priests to their leadership structure. Kazak, Lahab, Yeshaya, Shar, joined with Ariyah, Meshah, and Yaquab to form the 7 heads, as they were called. In the 80s, the 7 heads of One West changed the name of their group to the Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge, ICUPK. This school, which by this time was located at the address 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, underwent a massive break in 95-96 when Meshah left to form his own new rival school dubbed the House of David. The 2 schools experienced additional fracturing when Ariyah's prophecy promising the return of Yahushua, Jesus, failed to materialize. Now, a young man named Germaine Grant somehow wrestled control away from Ariyah, moved the school to 1941 Madison in East Harlem, changed the name to ICGJC, Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ. Grant, who went by the titles Chief High Priest Tazadakia, the God-sent Comforter, led the school until his death from COVID on April Fool's Day in 2020. He was 44 and was weeks away from beginning an 18-month sentence for an illegal tax fraud scheme. That's why I'm standing at the courthouse now, where he was sentenced, in case you were wondering. ICGJC members know why. They remember the rally they had here. Can you, that last paragraph, I gotta get one more time?
Yeah, sure. What do you want me to do?
Just do this. Just hit start again. And then that last paragraph, and we're good.
Let me know when.
Hit start, go, yeah. Current ICGJC members report that Bivens' star pupil, Ariyah, is still alive and well at the ICGJC. Rumors swirl that he is wheelchair bound and not able to speak for long periods of time. The truth is not really known, but Ariyah, born in 1940, would be about 85 as of 2025. Records indicate he still lives with his wife, Doris, in the West Bronx. Stop. I'm gonna get some B-roll footage. So here's the way that went down. And I see you, James. Once you're settled, we'll bring it back on. Here's the way it went down. We had to jump over there because it's kind of confusing, but this is what the video attempts to explain. Bivens leaves the Commandment Keepers with these ideas from this book that he wrote. Starts his own school called it has different names, but the most prominent name is the Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge, the ICUPK. The ICUPK has a split in 95-96, and Mashah, the other prominent leader, Yaquab, was not as relevant at this point for various reasons. Plus, he was either died right before or right after. The split happens. Mashah goes one way, Ariah goes the other way. And the group that Mashah starts is called House of David. And by the way, they still have a school in Brooklyn. When I was with 3 days ago, the guest we had on Nico, I was actually, I took a video and a picture of the House of David, right? So now we've got 2 different schools, and then there's even more fracturing when Ariah, who's in charge now of the ICUPK, his prophecy about Yahushua coming back in 99 doesn't come to pass. So there's even more splintering. So then a couple years later, somehow Ariah loses power of his own group, and a guy who was a cameraman prior, a guy named Germaine Grant, starts taking over, and he changes the name of the school. It changes from the ICUPK to the ICGJC, the Israelite Church of God and Jesus Christ. They blow up. Boys to Men join them. Not all the members, but 2 of the members get really serious. That's just an example. They had boxers and Olympians and everything in there. They blew up. They started making a lot of money. Lots of money. So much money that your guy, Germaine Grant, started getting a big head, said he was the Holy Spirit made manifest. He started calling himself the God-sent comforter. And he embezzled at least $5.3 million. He used the ICGC as his own personal piggy bank. And then when he was getting charged, he claimed it was persecution. And there's a famous video of him out there by that area of the courthouse with that statue, that head like kind of in the background. And so the reason we went down there is because to tell the story of Bivens, the saga ends in a very sad way where one of his disciples loses power due to a false prophecy, and then one of his disciples takes over, starts calling himself the Holy Spirit, that changes the school's name, then gets charged for embezzling, then dies of COVID on April 1st. That's what happened. And so we're telling the story, and again, where did Germaine Grant go to court to get charged with these crimes? Newark Courthouse. So Newark, New Jersey literally is like the perfect place to do the video that we did, because it has the Commandment Keepers, which is in a way the beginning of Bivens, if you understand what I mean, religiously speaking, in a prominent way. It has a Commandment Keepers location. It has where he was killed by that mosque there. It has that. It has where one of his students was charged with a heinous crime. So Newark is the city to tell the Bivens story, and that's exactly what we did. I want to thank you 2 guys for doing that. Now, Brendan, you didn't hear about all that stuff because you were in the car. What do you think now, hearing some of this, about the kind of the end of the tale?
Well, I'm kind of curious what their doctrine of inspiration is. Yeah, I didn't know that the man was saying that. You said that he's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, Germaine Grant. This is a student of Bivens who took over in the early 2000s. And his enemies, they called him Comfy to kind of make fun of himself, or to make fun of him because he was calling himself Comforter.
Yeah, and as you were telling me, I forgot that this was recent, and you said that he died of COVID on April 1st, and I'm like, this is just 2020.
Yep.
So I'm just a little shocked at how people can follow some doctrine that actually, like the same thing like when I was reading the Quran, like how can people believe, if somebody comes to me and says I'm the Holy Spirit, like why would somebody believe that?
Right.
It's a little shocking.
Yeah. And so if you look, our little video that we're going to put out on the history of Bivens and his students, it's going to cover about 100 years of history. It's going to go from 1919 to 2020. And again, you guys were there for that, because in the car, you guys were kind of asking me questions and we were talking about it. And you were like, man, I'm sorry, I don't know much about this. And I was like, hold on, guys, don't feel sorry for not knowing this. The reason why we're doing this video is because no one knows the stuff this video is going to be about. He's a key religious leader that now his legacy impacts cities across all over America, including now India, and no one even knows who he is or his story. And even our video, there's a number of times I had to say, we think, We're not sure because of how shaky some of the evidence given down to his followers is. I'm going with the best evidence we know, and I've done some digging. You'll see in the video. But there's still plenty I don't know, and yet we're given as best as we can now. It looks like we have one of Bivens' grandchildren, and I don't mean that literally. I mean ideologically. I hope everyone understands. We have one of Bivens' ideological grandchildren in the live chat. And he says, his name's Turn Up the Bass. Let's put his comment on the screen. He says, nobody cares, no swag. That's what they call me instead of vocab, no swag. All that matters is waking up the elect and keeping the commandments. You can't stop this awakening. Now, let's analyze this comment. All that matters. So he's saying this is of first importance. Waking up the elect. He means telling people on the street corner they're Israelites. That's what he means by that, by the way. Keeping the commandments. It goes back to the very first error, Commandment Keepers, as if you can do that, as if the cross doesn't mean anything. And he says you can't stop this awakening. Notice the awakening is not about people getting born again. It's about them realizing they had the wrong ethnicity and now they got the right one. A lot you can tell from this little comment, wouldn't you say? Also, why would you be so ignorant to want to remain in naivete? Nobody cares. Turn up the bass. You should want to care. This is your religious history. And you don't care? But guess what? He had a follow-up comment. You're going in chains. And he's got a white man with blonde hair, a lady with red-orange hair, and a little baby in the emoji. You guys understand what he's saying there?
A baby.
Change. We gotta show this. Look at this. This fool this fool had to put the baby in there, bro. This fool had to put the baby, bro.
Can we ask him questions since he's listening?
Yeah. We should. By the way, mods,
So
keep them in.
I guess
Keep them in, mods. I'm not one of these guys who blocks people when they don't agree or they insult me. I hardly ever block anybody. Or if I'm in a bad mood, I'll probably block you. But we leave guys like this around. But what do you want to ask him?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna ask you. I mean, do they think the Apostle Paul is an Israelite?
Yeah, he's from the tribe of Benjamin, so he would be like an ancient Jamaican.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, but the ancient Jamaican says that if you follow the law, you're under a curse.
Well, so here's what they do with that. Either people like you, they would say, me, Gentiles, misunderstand Paul. He's our brother. You don't know how to read him. You don't understand him. In fact, let's go to Peter, where Peter says that people twist his letters. Read. There are some things in his letters which are hard to understand. Right. So they'll do that. Or the other tack some of them take is sometimes Paul was wrong. It depends on which group you're talking to.
I don't know if he wants to comment, but maybe he can enlighten us on what he's going to say about that.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. Yeah,
they throw Paul under the bus whenever Paul contradicts them.
Yep, you're exactly right. So this is, I think, the last one. So we did a couple of the videos that were actually just in the car while we were driving. They're kind of like segue segments. And I think this is the conclusion of it. Let me see if this is the right spot here. I think this is. I'm going to show this video as well. Yeah, radar is the man, bro. All right, here we go. Last part. It's very short. Today, many of the disciples of Bivens actually claim he is John the Baptist, Elijah, and Father Abraham reincarnated. Thus, we have a current day situation in which hate begets hate and error begets error. Hey, James, I can see you back there, bro. See in the back of the car? Look real close. Yeah. It's all madness, and it's only increasing. I pray this video expose increases your understanding of some of the historical source. I pray this video expose increases some of your understanding of the historical sources for some of the madness you see around you. Heeding the call to wisdom during these times is needed. And with that, shalom. That's it. That's what we did. And my man Brendan over there, he's the getaway driver. So shout out again for being the apologetics driver, holding it down. And of course, you guys saw my man in the back, of course, James from DRBX holding it down as well. I mean, I think we had a good time, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I had a great time. I learned so much. Just seeing how, for me, it was more seeing how like how new of a religion it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not rooted in history, or it's like a religion like Christianity that is 2,000 years
Mm-hmm.
rooted in something. It's like Mormonism. Mormonism is older than this religion.
Yeah.
Like, you know
Yep.
what I mean? Jehovah's Witnesses are older than this religion. So it's like these people have like nothing to stand on, and yet they're more bold than the rest. So ignorance is really bliss.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and that's part of what I think a video like this helps do. It gets the truth out there, but also people can be like, "Oh, okay, so that's what happened," and it's part of the apologetic process because this is more of a research type little video. But I think it's important. I think it need to be done. And like I said, I knew enough of the Newark connection. I said, "This is the best place to do this." I'd love to go back to Newark. I don't know if I ever will, and so I said, "Now's the time to do it." I'm gonna get to you, Brendan, too, but first, a couple super chats. Odell. I remember meeting you. You were good people. Super chat, thank you, by the way. Hey, Vocab, great meeting you in NJ at Modern Day Debate. Hopefully, we can link up again when you're in NJ in the future. Yeah, me too. And I'll let you know. Shout out to Ham Sunshine and Prime Minister for the super chats if I didn't already say that. I've met a lot of great people out there at Modern Day Debate. And so, Brendan, what's your sort of overall summary that you got from this apologetics Newark road trip we had?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was eye-opening. I had no idea how much ground the Hebrew Israelites was gaining, and then you told me that it's actually they're getting numbers in like the 10,000s. I think you're saying in this area.
Well, IUIC
So it was
particularly. Yeah, the purple and gold guys got about 10,000 members alone.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty eye-opening. I mean, my heart is for people. I want people to hear the gospel. I'll do some apologetics, polemics, little polemics, like after I've already explained the gospel is pretty much my method. And at that point, since they've heard the gospel, people understand that there's opportunity that God provides for us so that we can be forgiven from our sin. And then hopefully when I'm doing afterwards, they're just asking me legitimate questions like, oh yeah, how do you know this is true? What are your reasonings? And so that's when the polemics comes in.
Tell us why you
But now I see.
recommend. Here, tell us why you recommend apologetics, making sure that you share. Oh, hold on, that's the wrong scene, by the way. Tell us why it's important to share the gospel first.
Yes, Romans 1:16, the gospel is the power of God unto salvation. And so, Jesus says, he said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. And so, as we're making disciples, there's a promise in Matthew 28, 18. He says, I will be with you. So when you're sharing the gospel, first of all, it's the power of God into salvation. It softens the hearts of people, because now God is using that opportunity. He's working through that to soften people's hearts, to help them to understand the gospel, I believe. And then also, Jesus is with you and he's calling them into a relationship with him. And so when you challenge them after you've shared the gospel, you say, would you like to receive Christ as your savior? You'll be surprised. I've talked with people in a town in England where they actually, somebody was arrested for planning a bombing. And I walk up to a group of guys, tattoos, motorcycle, this town is known for harboring terrorists. And I go through the whole thing. I share the gospel with him. And when you step up, what happens is, God knows in his foreknowledge, he knows you're going to do that. And what this man told me, he said, I had a dream that somebody was going to talk to me about God. And I think you're the answer to this dream. And so after I explained the gospel to him and I said, would you like to receive Christ as your savior? Just like that. You know what? He said, yeah. He said he wanted to receive Christ as his savior. And we prayed together. So God does amazing things as soon as you step up and you answer the call to the gospel. And so I've seen that time and time again. And so once you share the gospel, you lead off with the gospel first. Greg Kugel has his book. You know, he wants to leave people. I'm talking too much. Sorry. He wants to
Tactics.
leave people with a stone in their shoe, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, why don't you just make the stone the gospel? And then you can handle objections like afterwards. You know what I mean? So I just want to make sure that that's understood first before I even get to this is why I don't agree. I won't say this is why you're wrong. I could depend on the situation, but this is why I say, well, I don't agree that this is the truth. Right? We got to take the evidence, and follow the evidence and see where it leads us.
Amen, 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 Brandon. I was glad that you rode out there, and we were able, by God's grace, to end the night with some great New Jersey pizza in Hoboken.
Benny Tadino's, man, I was so happy you came into my home state, and I was able to take you and show you around, and you were even how shocked actually how close in proximity this area was to New York City. That's why I actually wanted to drive down to Hoboken. We went to Hoboken. I wanted to show you that actually is very close. It's like a lot of people don't even know. Sometimes they don't even know they fly into Newark and they think they're in New York. So it's an area where there's like a lot of crossover between New York City and New Jersey. The rest of New Jersey is very diverse, so you can go to other parts and you're like, oh, well, where am I? It's like you feel like you're like on a farm. You can be, depending, like you drive 45 minutes and you're just like in a whole different area. But yeah, I'm glad I was able to show you my place. I don't want to say hood, but my place,
That's good, man. We appreciate that.
my state.
Yeah, like that episode of The Sopranos where they go out into the woods to bury that Russian guy. They're out in the middle of nowhere. Well, James, what's your review
Probably
of
30 minutes out of Newark or something.
Yeah, what's your review of the Jersey pizza we had, James, as a Bronx New Yorker?
I wouldn't say it's better than New York pizza, but it was a close second. It was good pizza. I'm not gonna lie, and the wings were really good too.
Oh yeah.
So,
That's a
Brendan,
good
you
review.
didn't disappoint me. You were on the hot seat.
Thanks, man.
Brendan
Yeah, I
knew he
know.
was on the
I
hot.
felt the pressure, bro.
When we got there, he was like, he started making excuses for them before we even started eating it. He was like, "Oh, guys, it might not, it's not the best. There's another place that's better." And we was like, "Come on, bro, you said this."
No, no. What happened is I told Vocab about this place. Razza Pizza, Jersey City. Shout out to that place. They say it got voted the best pizza in New York. So I hyped this place up to Vocab, and he's like, "I want to go put someplace low key." I was like, "Okay, so we'll go to this place." So I changed it up
Okay,
last
okay.
minute.
Yeah, because that other
All
place you're
right,
telling me about sounded kind of fancy, and I was like, no, this is not. I'm not. It can't be that. That's the way I felt.
Next time, bro. Next time. I haven't
Maybe
tried it myself, so I'm curious myself.
I'd rather go in a place like where we went to, where it's cash only and it's like a sign of the type of place it's gonna be. It's like it's cash only here,
yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
yeah, that was dope though. So all right, Brendan, where can people find your stuff, and what do you what kind of apologetic ventures are you thinking about in the future?
Yeah, I'm putting together a curriculum right now. We're gonna test it out, teaching it at a church called Gospel First Apologetics. So I don't have anything online, but look out for something called Gospel First Apologetics. And I started a small YouTube. I wouldn't even recommend going there. It's called NJ Apologist, but I definitely plan on putting more content up if you wanna go check it out.
Nice. All
Give
right.
me a couple months.
What about you, James? What do you think might be in the future, and what's going on your end?
Yeah, well, right now I'm just studying hard. That's something that I really like to do. I study hard to really combat Hebrew Israelites. Their attacks on the Trinity, their attacks on saved by grace through faith, their
Mm-hmm.
attacks on just the deity of Christ, things like that. This burden that they put on people. That's something that I really am passionate about. And yeah, so that's what I see. That's what is in my future. They could find me on Kai Apologetics, YouTube. That's KIH Apologetics, and on Instagram, that's Keep It Humble _. Yeah, I have actually a video debating a Hebrew Israelite on YouTube. So if they want to check that out, they can.
All right, I got to peep that out. What's KIH stand for? Or what's that mean?
Keep it humble.
Oh, I get it. Okay, because I get
Mm.
it. You said okay. Gotcha.
I was
That's
like
dope.
killed in the head. I'm like,
Well, Don't sleep on James, because you guys might think, oh, he's young, but you know, he's talking in the car and he definitely knows his stuff. So shout out, you know, and like I said, JP couldn't be here with us this time. He's hanging out with the high rollers, but I'd rather be with the holy rollers. It's like, nah. But now we'll get on JP for something else. We'll get on JP for something else. But thank you guys too for joining today on Street Apologists Live and all your hard work running around Newark, New Jersey in the cold. I appreciate you fellas
for having us, bro. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for calling us out.
And you guys, live chat, thanks for the super chats and love. God bless y'all. You'll be hearing more about these adventures coming up. Stay tuned.